Welcome back to the Duncanville Fieldhouse for the second day of our coverage of the NTX International Combine. Alongside Dave Benz and Kendra Sheehan, I'm Evan Weston. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got games 3 and 4 of our coverage coming up today. First off, Team 1, the Spurs, coached by Sean Respert. They were victorious yesterday, a 5-point win over the Grizzlies. They will take on yesterday's Team 4, Mike James's Rockets, and boy, did they take after Mike James, a smaller but very athletic and dogged team that we saw yesterday in a close defeat against team number 3, the Sixers. We'll see the Sixers and Grizzlies later on today. Dave, impressions from the first day and what you're looking forward to this afternoon?
I'm looking forward to seeing how some of the guys that struggled yesterday bounce back. And, I know we might get into this as the broadcast goes on, but, the coaches, they're not being shy with some of these players and saying, hey, you need to rise to a little bit higher level if you're expecting to play at a higher level than you played in college basketball. So we'll see. And then the guys who did have success yesterday, are they still going to be hungry to make a second impression and show, hey, that there's some consistency available? The two guys really that stood out to us yesterday were Cameron Smith and Effie Odeji. We'll see. With Rudy Williams was also fantastic as well yesterday. So we'll see whether or not those guys can continue to bring it. And will we see a little bit more continuity? I think the aggressiveness was there yesterday, but can these guys play a little bit more together now that they've had a little bit more time together? Can we see some growth in that area?
We will see Cameron Smith as part of the Spurs team today. Also on that team, Craig Porter Jr., who had 10, 8, 7, and 3 steals in their win yesterday. Porter Jr., a former third-team All-AAC at Wichita State, who is a do-it-all player. Latrell Jones had a nice game, 16 points. Everett Hammond coming out of UMass Lowell. The sharpshooter was a nice surprise with his aggressiveness. Meanwhile, on the Rockets, some up-and-down performances in that game. Kong really good in the first half. Sage Tolbert stepped up in the second half. But Mike James wants to see this team do a little bit more, and that's a guy who played 14 years in the NBA. He's an NBA champion with the 2004 Detroit Pistons. He will take this team to task if they don't give him the basketball that he wants to see.
Talked to Mike James briefly yesterday. We rode in the elevator actually with him at the hotel, and I told him, I said, I know you won a ring with the Pistons, but I still see you as a Miami Heat player. And he said, man, the Heat were the ones that found me and launched my NBA career, so he'll always feel like he's got a special place in his heart for the Miami Heat.
His very first team back in 2001. I remember with Lindsey Hunter, the Pit Bulls, on that 04 Pistons championship team. Rasheed Wallace gave them that nickname.
Oh, yeah. Well, Rasheed Wallace, talk about a guy who, was a pit bull himself.
It's the Rockets, Mike James's team in white. In blue. The Spurs are in white.
Spurs were also in white yesterday.
It is Porter, Jones, Smith, Hammond, and the big guy, Ahmad Rand, who are in there with the Spurs. This is Davian Williamson, former Wake Forest point guard. He stripped to the basketball.
Nice job defending there by Hammond to force that turnover.
Porter Jr. corrals. Smith passes up the 3. Now gets it back from Rand. Little two-man game, and Rand puts it in. Nicely done between those two.
And I love that by Cameron Smith. He could have jacked that 3, and he said, you know what, I got a good shot. Let's see if we can get a better shot, and they're working inside to Rand.
Standing by now, we've got Kendra Sheehan with a very special guest. Kendra?
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, I'm here with Pete Michael, one of the co-founders of NTX Combine. You yourself were a former draft pick in the 2000s by the Dallas Mavericks. You know what it takes to play at this level. What have you learned through your experience and giving some of these guys the opportunity to get that exposure with scouts and play at the next level?
Yeah, what I've learned is when you get your opportunity, you have to be ready for it. You might not get this opportunity again to be seen in front of scouts, so you got to prepare yourself mentally and physically. Most of basketball is mental. So if you can make sure you get a good night's sleep and you can recover your body, you can have an advantage over other players. So what I've always said going into these is work as hard as I can on the defensive end, knock down shots, play with energy, make myself be seen, kind of stand out in front of the other guys. So I've always been a big advocate of the intensity and the emotions of the game.
You started this combine in 2021. Walk me through the process of why you felt you need to take this initiative and give some guys extra exposure for both NBA scouts as well as international scouts.
Yeah, I thought it was a good example for me to get back. I mean, this game has given me 23 years between being a player for 17, being in NBA front office, and now being an agent. So the game has given me a lot over 23 years. So this is my way to give back to players. So I think this is a great opportunity for me to build my brand, number one, and for two, to help guys out and make sure they get good game film, make sure scouts come get a chance to see them. And we got guys from historical black colleges here that will never get a chance to be seen in front of scouts. And you know what? They turn out to be some of the better players here. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud to give underrated guys an opportunity to shine.
Now, this event features these games that we're broadcasting, but there's also drills, there's different athleticism tests. What are some of the things that these scouts are specifically looking for when they come to these sort of events?
Well, they're looking for a little bit of everything. They're looking to see if the guy stayed in shape from college. They're looking to see how he compares to other Big 10, Big 12, the big colleges. You got some guys from small college, but they're competing really well against guys with big college. So when you're playing this in this combine, you're on an even field. So it kind of really shows what your level is. And they're looking for somebody to stand out. Who stands apart? Who looks different? Who makes all the shots? Who's making all the dunks? Who's athletic? So it's a lot of things. As a former scout, I know. And then also we did measurements. So who has the best hand size, the wingspan, and how tall are they really? Because, you know, sometimes college, they give you a few more extra inches. So this is one of those events where the NBA, the international scouts, they get a chance to see everything. And it's coming from me, and I'm reliable, so I make sure that everything is first class for these guys. But not only in that, the educational part. We had a financial advisor in here from Morgan Stanley, and he just broke down cost of what it takes to live, what it takes to have kids. And so it really got those guys' attention, and all those guys was asking for his phone number after. Everybody know how to get my money, how to save it, and how to be successful. So not only basketball, it's education. Plus, I have some of the better coaches in the world here. One of my former coaches who coached me in the Houston Rockets 2002, he's one of the coaches here today, Melvin Hunt. So I'm very proud to have these organic relationships that I built, and this is going to be a great show. This is going to be running until I'm old and gray. You know, 50 years from now, this NTX combine will be a household name.
Lastly, we've seen tons of great play already.
Yeah.
We've seen high-scoring affair from these guys. What's impressed you most about the competitiveness of these guys out here?
And you just said it, the competitiveness. I mean, these guys are going like it's their last day on it. And that's how you need to play at combines like this. All the NBA scouts that were here, they actually watched the game live. So a lot of guys have told me, man, these guys are playing really hard. Thank you for putting this combine on. I've gotten that from a lot of people. And I just think these combines really help the undervalued guy. Maybe he was the second, third option on this team, but here he's number one option. So we're here to help, we're here to educate, we're here to promote.
Thank you so much, Pete Michael, for your time, the co-founder of this event. We'll send it back to you, Evan.
Thank you very much, Kendra, and thank you, Pete, for your time. It was really great to hear about all the ins and outs of this tournament. That financial advisor part, too, really piqued my interest. A great thing for these young men to have that resource. Davian Williamson for two after a long two from Cameron Smith. Now Hammond a deep three. That's a little strong, and the rebound is tipped off of Tolbert. He looks a little surprised at the call from Craig Thorpe, the baseline referee, but it'll stay with team number one, the Spurs. Porter for two, and another good start for this Spurs team. That really, that 5-point margin at the end of the Grizzlies game, not quite indicative of how that one went. The Spurs were up by as much as 19 in the second half. Two more for Williamson.
While Kendra was having the interview with Pete, Latrell Jones started this game off with a flurry, and Hammond has also been impressive as well at this time.
Hammond, his first two, 5 different scorers on the 5 buckets for the Spurs so far. That's no good. Deep three from Zach Scott. You know, this game might end up being prettier than an actual Spurs-Rockets game from this season.
Well, so far, it's been very clean and, you know, no sloppiness whatsoever, really, to get this thing started.
Hammond for 2 more on the other end. How about Williamson? 7 points here, keeping his team in it. Winston-Salem native. He started his career at East Tennessee State, but got to come back home, played 3 years at Wake Forest. Career 38% three-point shooter at Wake. How about Rand off the take there?
And Rand yesterday, he missed only 2 shots, and they were the only 2 shots he took that weren't dunks. So it's nice to see him show that, hey, he can also score. I mean, it got to the rim, but he can also score without having to dunk it.
And off the dribble. Didn't really see that from him yesterday. It was a lot of catches and dunks. There's Tolbert, the turnaround jumper, no good. Smith, the rebound. Jones pulls up for 3. In and out. Scott with the board.
Yeah, Latrell Jones, he was sneaky yesterday with 16 points, and the Spurs win.
Williamson splash. He's got 10 points here. And we've got a timeout from Sean Respert, the head coach of the Spurs, as Davian Williamson has punished his team. He has 10 of the 13 for Mike James's Rockets.
Well, you mentioned playing at Wake Forest and how good a shooter he was in college, and he only took 2 threes yesterday. So, you know, we talked about it yesterday. This is not a time for players to play unselfish. In fact, I spoke with Melvin Hunt, who we'll see coaching a little bit later this afternoon when Team 2 takes on Team 3. And I spoke with Melvin Hunt yesterday at the team hotel, and he said that, you know, he had that exact message to his players, like, guys, this is not a time to be unselfish. And that's not to be confused with that you just want to go in and be a ball hog and not be there for your team. But if you've got an opportunity to do something, don't be shy about it. Go ahead and take advantage. Try to show what your skill set is. And so far, we've seen a couple of players exert themselves early on in this game.
It's been a team effort from the Spurs. Only Hammond and Rand have multiple buckets, 5 different scores. All of their starters are on the board. See a couple of changes here. Umoja Gibson, Desi Sills, and Kevin Samuel all checking in for the Rockets. Tolbert and Williamson will stay out there. We'll see Dexter Dennis, who has changed his number from 23 to 32 for this game. And Nellie Cummings, former Pittsburgh Panther, bringing it up for the Spurs. Dennis out of Texas A&M gets around and slips through Samuel for 2.
And Samuel just couldn't get there in time. And the book on Samuel is just, you know, he hasn't playing basketball for an extremely long period of time. And he needs to find a way to be more aggressive. He's not...
There's Gibson for 2.
Samuel's not afraid to go out and do anything. He'll take on the contact. He's just a little bit hesitant about picking his spots, and that's something he needs to be more assertive in.
There's a steal for Sage Tolbert. Slips by Porter Jr. Tolbert, little runner in the lane, no good. Dennis the rebound. Dennis, long feed, and that was a little ambitious. Tolbert did well to get back on defense after missing the shot.
Yeah, and I get you're trying to make an impression, but sometimes the best impression to make is that you're going to make the sound play.
Smith misses up and around. Gibson got in there. Good start for Gibson, who had a tough game yesterday. Went just 2 out of 12 and missed all 8 of his threes.
Yeah, it looked like Smith was anticipating some contact there and probably should have just tried to go up and flush that basketball.
Cummings to the corner. Smith will take the 3 and drill it.
Well, he quickly atones for a decision that he probably would like back on the drive with the 3. He showed off everything yesterday.
Samuel stripped to the basketball by Smith. Dennis picks it up. They gave Smith 2 for that shot. His foot was on the line, so it's a 3-point lead. Sills to tie it. That's short. He came alive at the end of their game yesterday, helped them come back from down 12 to actually go into the lead. Samuel with a block on the jumper by Smith.
And now there was Samuel doing a great job. He made a decision. He went ahead and got the block. I mean, it was and you know, he didn't swipe down, which I also liked as well.
Williamson with the loose handle there. Smith, this one is from 3. It's off the back iron. Gibson the rebound. Gibson ahead to Williamson, 10 points in the early going. Looking for his shot. He's guarded tightly by Porter Jr.
And you know, the one thing about Smith, as well as he has played those last two shots on the other end, is he get the and one opportunity here. Those last couple of shots by Smith, Evan, you know, you're a 6'7" wing player who's got quickness, and you've got Kevin Samuel out on the wing guarding you. He's not quick. The one thing he's going to do is he's going to try to challenge a jump shot. You put it on the deck and you go by him while you're pulling up in front of a big 7-footer like that is something that will drive coaches crazy.
We saw a lot of great decision-making out of Smith yesterday.
Yes. And he's played overall well again here today, but I just those last couple of shots, I don't know what he's thinking. You got a big on you. You got to take him on the dribble.
Sean Respert taking him aside and talking to him a little bit here as he took him out of the game. Hammond back in along with Rand. Dennis, he's going to take on Samuel and draws the foul. Dexter Dennis, former Wichita State Shocker. He played 2 years with Craig Porter Jr., who's his teammate here at the Combine, and spent last year at Texas A&M. He's a great athlete. He was the American Conference Defensive Player of the Year his last year at Wichita, and then spent his grad year at A&M. Jones trying to pick that off. Now it's 5-on-4. Williamson for three. That's well short. Look at Tolbert. Sky for that rebound. Missed the layup. Goes back the other side and puts it in.
Great job with the fence, though, by Tolbert to get the defender in the air and able to get the finish. And he was very patient in doing it. You love seeing that.
Now ran the other way against Samuel. Loses the handle, and the big man picks it up for the Rockets. They've got their first lead. And Tolbert puts in two more. He's got 7.
I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Samuel in these last couple of minutes. The block on Smith, and then he comes up with forcing the basketball free there.
Cummings, the floater, is way short. Sills the rebound. Rockets out in transition. To the corner. Gibson a three. That's short. Rebounded by Dennis. So Gibson still to make, yet to make a three. Last year, he shot 41.5% on threes at DePaul.
He's going to need to see those shots fall a little bit more if he's going to really be able to make it to the next level.
Samuel blocked by Rand. And a foul on the second try. Samuel will go to the line. Ahmad Rand picked up a block on the first shot.
Was it Rand or was it Jones? I thought it was Jones that might have gotten a hand in there. Let's take another look. Oh, no, it was Rand. It was Rand.
Ahmad Rand, 3 block shots yesterday. Samuel was a 27% free throw shooter, but he makes the first.
That is an area clearly that he needs to work on, but I mean his measurables are off the charts. He's got a 9'9" standing reach, a 7'6" wingspan. You know, it stands 7 feet tall, 260, and you know,
huge hands, 10.5-inch hands.
It's 10.5 inches. I mean, think about that. Holds the basketball like you and I would hold a tennis ball.
He goes 2 for 2. His first 2 points, and this Rockets run is now 8-0.
And it's been powered by Samuel getting it done on both ends, really.
Dennis free throw line jumper, that is butter. 4 for Dennis off the bench.
And that was a smart decision by Dennis, right? I said Cameron Smith should have put it on the deck against Samuel when he was further out, as Samuel continues to just impress. But with Dexter Dennis, that was a different story. He was on the dribble. He was already pretty much in the paint. You just pull up and drill it. Take advantage of the quickness.
Rand tries the 3. It's well short. Williamson was red hot to start. Fakes the 3, then dishes to Samuel, who couldn't hang on to it, but it's stripped away. Back to Williamson. Long 2 is good.
It's been a nice start for Davian Williamson today.
Williamson, 12 points. Didn't do a whole lot yesterday. Made a 3 early and then did not make much of an impression after that. He's a little undersized. He measured in at 6 foot even, but he is quick and can really shoot it.
Sean Respert's getting Cameron Smith back on the floor here. This game, Evan, on pace to be even higher scoring than yesterday's first half. We thought the post numbers were pretty remarkable.
Yeah, this Rockets team in particular scoring at will right now with Samuel on the floor. There he is finding the rebound over Smith. Sills taking it to the hole against Dennis. High off the glass, no good. Porter Jr. in transition. Around Samuel, draws the foul. Craig Porter Jr. will go to the line.
Well, even with that foul, I'm really impressed by seriously impressed with the game on both ends of the floor.
Porter Jr. will shoot 2 free throws. First is good. Not a great free throw shooter in college, just one of the few areas of his game where he did not excel at the college level, but a guy who averaged a block and a half a game, a steal and a half a game, was a constant triple-double threat at a pretty high level at Wichita State. Junior college national champion. Kong into the game for the first time out of D2 Kentucky State. He impressed yesterday in the first half, but misses the jump shot. Dennis struggling with the handle. It's off his leg. Zach Scott forces the turnover. Now Sills and Kong into Samuel. That's stripped away, but it'll stay with the Rockets, who are holding on to a 5-point lead.
One thing I didn't like about that with Kevin Samuel is you're a big guy. That there's really nobody else on the floor right now that is as big as you. Well, you got to learn. You're not going to put that ball down low. You're giving everybody else an opportunity to get at it. You got to hold that ball up high.
That power dribble can be such a double-edged sword. It's a long 2 for Scott. That bounces out, rebounded by Rand. Cummings pulls up for 3. No good, rebounded by Kong. The threes have not quite been falling at the rate they were yesterday. And we got a kick ball here on the Spurs. It'll stay with the Rockets. Marquise Davis out of Arkansas State. Now Sills, they were teammates for a year there. And Davis knocks down the 3, so there you go. It's a 3-pointer, Marquise Davis. Last year was his first year as a starter at the D1 level, but he really impressed for Arkansas State, getting a chance here at this combine.
3 years at Arkansas State, came out of the junior college program before that, originally out of Oxford, Alabama. And, yesterday, 22 minutes, he only put up 8 points. So, he's looking to have a bigger day here today as well. Scouts, they're watching this team. They're not in the building for the scrimmages or the exhibition games that we're seeing here.
Hammond with another bucket. He's got 6. Scouts were in the building this morning for the drills. They get all the testing data. Sills a 3, drills it from the wing. Rockets can't miss right now. They're up by 9.
Right as soon as you said the threes haven't been dropped, all of a sudden the Rockets hit a couple, bam, bam.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could use these powers for ourselves?
Hit the Powerball numbers.
Or for good, for the world maybe? No, just about sports. The Powerball numbers. There's Cummings for 3, in and out. Kong with the rebound. Sills has been getting them going in transition. Scott, there's another 3. And a timeout for Sean Respert, his second and final timeout of the first half. As
Suddenly cannot miss, and everybody's getting involved. Davis, Sills, Scott, and Sean Respert is, got to be getting out his guys and being like, hey, we got to get some hands in the faces of these players. And that was another point, we talked about yesterday during the game. There was a point when Nelly Cummings yesterday had gotten by his defender, and nobody on picked him up. He got past the defender out near midcourt, and nobody picked him up. He had a free run into the paint, and finally got fouled at the last possible second. But talking to Melvin Hunt yesterday, he told me, that's the thing. These guys need to realize, okay, you want to be you can't just be so locked in on just your own man that you completely ignore the rest of the court. Guys don't want to get burned in this situation. They don't want to get burned by the guy they're supposed to be guarding, and that's understandable. But you also have to show that you can defend your guy and also be aware of what's going on in the court. A little bit harder to do when you're not familiar with the guys you're being thrown on the court with, but you still have to let those instincts take over and be like, oh, somebody's making a free run to the basket. Maybe I should get in their way.
Right now, that's not happening for this Spurs team. The Rockets have opened up a 12-point lead. They want to come back. They might have to lean on Cameron Smith a little bit. For more on him and his big day yesterday, let's go to Kendra.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, Cameron Smith had a huge day yesterday, but one of the things that I love most about this guy is how humble he is and how much he wants to give back. He's from a small town in northern Mississippi. It's about 2,600 people, and when he went back to visit, he noticed there was a lot of hazardous cracks in the old court that he used to play on. So what he did was he teamed up with a local nonprofit, and they raised over $20,000 to repair and resurface that court. Another thing that he does when he goes back, he hands out food bags to local elementary kids, and to ignite some young kids' passion for the sport of basketball, he'll pick up those young kids, lift them over his shoulders, and help them dunk their very first basketball. Evan, back to you.
Well, he just made a couple of splash plays on both ends right there, Dave, as we got another three there. Gibson, no good.
That's uncanny, right? You start talking about a guy who comes up to the basketball, goes to the other end, gets a score. That's exactly how it's supposed to work.
And another foul on Samuel. Craig Porter Jr. will shoot two.
But as far as Kendra's story, I mean, that's great, for him to have that awareness and be like, hey, this court means a lot to me, and it can mean a lot to a lot of other kids who are going to be playing on it. Let's do the right thing and get it where it needs to be. Just admire that out of that young man.
Shout out to Okolona, Mississippi.
Indeed.
Porter Jr. missing the first. Smith and Porter Jr. out there with Cummings, Hammond, and Rand trying to get back in this game after the hot three-point shooting from the Rockets, but a missed free throw by Porter.
Yeah, Porter's just 68% at the charity stripe last season.
That's what you want to see from Gibson, slithering into the lane for two.
Nice contest, I thought, there, but Gibson able to beat it.
He's so quick.
Showing off the quickness for sure.
Davis the rebound off the missed three by Porter Jr. Zach Scott, little floater. I think Davis thought that might have been a lob for him.
I thought it was a lob too, and then and I don't know if he just misfired that, if he changed his mind, but he had Davis for a lob if he had put it in the right spot.
Rockets have not been able to keep Everett Hammond from the rim. He's got 10. An airball three from Sis. I think Hammond might have got a piece of that. Now it's Cummings to Smith for three. It's short. He'll get his own miss. Pulls up from two this time. That's no good. Underneath it's Hammond. In for two more.
Well, Hammond's really trying to put his fingerprints on this one now. And he has certainly had some impressive flashes in these couple of days. Smith, though, man.
It's another steal. Hammond against Davis. He's got two free throws.
Not really sure what Hammond was trying to do there. If you've got a chance to go up, you go up strong with the basketball. Give yourself a chance to make the shot, as opposed to just, trying to create the contact. He really had no shot to make that basket.
He'll have to earn the 2 points at the free throw line.
On the other side, Davis made sure he had no shot in the basket.
Yes,
so
he did.
If you're going to get the foul, you might as well get your money's worth.
Hammond at a UMass Lowell. It's interesting, he made his name in college as a sharpshooter, as a three-point specialist, and here in Duncanville, he's really been a slasher. We've seen him get to the rim pretty frequently. That's where he's gotten his production.
Yeah, he's also gotten his hands on a lot of loose balls, had a lot of deflections.
Had 7 assists and 2 steals yesterday to go along with 15 points. He's got 14 here in the first half. Williamson, step back 3. Off the back iron, and there's Hammond with the rebound.
Yeah, Williamson's foot was on the line too, and that's something you got to be clean with. You got to make sure that you're going to be back behind that line.
There we see Hammond pull up from 3, but he missed it.
Mouse in the house here.
Tolbert doing work down low.
And yeah, I tell you what, he got fouled too on that play by
Yes, he
Latrell
did.
Jones, and he just played right through it.
Sage Tolbert out of New Orleans. 3 different colleges for him. Came back from knee surgery a couple of years ago to have a strong year last year at San Jose State.
Nice switch defensively that time to get the stop for the Rockets.
They're up 7. They're led by as much as 12. Here's Gibson trying to shake Hammond. Screen from Tolbert. Gibson to Tolbert, but he doesn't have a whole lot of places to go. 3 seconds, he'll get to the free throw line. Sage Tolbert with a size mismatch there against Everett Hammond.
Yeah, he took a little bit of time to make a decision. He didn't have much left, but he does draw the foul.
Tolbert measured in at 6'7", 214. Another guy with big hands, 10-inch hands, 37.5-inch vertical. He's missed a few free throws here. Could have more than the 9 points he's got on his ledger for this first half.
67% last year at San Jose State. Another well-traveled guy, a couple of years at Southeast Missouri, then Temple for 2 years.
Missed both. So the lead remains at 7. Hammond, he'll try for 3. That's Everett Hammond's bread and butter. He's got 17.
Again, Zach Scott tried to go for a steal, which is why Hammond was so wide open.
Then Porter steals the long outlet. Look
Oh!
at that from Dennis!
Oh my goodness, he can fly!
Well, Dave told you about that 41.25-inch vertical. Down the other end, it's Gibson to get the 2 points back. But those were 2 college teammates right there in Porter Jr. and Dennis. They've done that before.
I mean, I think he nearly hit his head on the rim on that. That was unbelievable. Can't wait to get a replay on that one.
That was spectacular. 3 for Cummings, and it's a 2. Foot was on the line, but it is a 2-point game.
I'm going to go ahead and say, if anybody happens to be watching this game at home, clip that thing off and put it out to on Twitter as a SportsCenter Top 10 nominee.
I mean, he came from the corner to catch that ball, too.
That was just, and you said they were college teammates, so they've got some good symmetry, but that was just really, really impressive.
Hammond trying to draw the foul, and the referees having absolutely none of it. Tolbert to Gibson. He'll put it in.
And, you know, I think I probably want to see a foul call there because in the NBA, the number one job is to protect the shooter. And even though Hammond was anticipating the call, and I don't love that, but, you know, I do think he got fouled and he should have been going to the line.
Dennis, pull-up jumper. That looks pretty good, too.
Dexter Dennis, all he needed was a new uniform number. He switched from MJ to old school Shaq.
And listen, he makes his name on defense. You know, the offense is a bonus with him, and he looks fantastic here. Williamson, another deep 3. Boy, he's played well. 15 for Davian Williamson in this first half.
What a first half we've seen, by the way, with some great individual efforts, and we got a competitive game here with under a minute to go.
High-scoring game as well. Hammond with 17 to lead the Spurs. Here's Dennis working on Tolbert. That's a good matchup. Dennis gets by him, goes up and under. Oh, he missed the finish.
Yeah,
Everything but the roll.
You could tell Dennis is really feeling it right now, though. He is he's
How could you
at
not be?
Yeah, he's looking at that rim like there's nothing he can't do.
Look how far out he caught that ball.
That was something else, and that just happened so quickly.
Cummings short with the three. Smith the offensive rebound, and Kong fouls him. Smith will shoot a pair with 20 seconds to go in the half.
Kong, you just got an unbelievable wingspan. That's going to be very attractive to scouts on the next level.
You think he'll have to bulk up a little bit, but
Yeah,
certainly got talent.
He's got a big climb in front of him if he wants to be playing professional basketball at the next level in the United States. Overseas, it's maybe go there, hone your craft a little bit, and he's got the raw talent. There's no question, but he doesn't have the size to contend with the bigger players in the NBA today.
Williamson blocked by Porter. Gets it back, final seconds. Gibson, he got it off, it's no good. And that's the end of the first half. What a game, 47-45. A slim lead for Mike James's Rockets.
And I think Cameron Smith might have banged knees with somebody, possibly Dexter Dennis, because Dennis went into the table underneath, and Smith he came up holding his left knee a little bit. Appears to be okay, walking it off. You are happy to see that. You don't want to see anything happen to any of these guys. We lost Allegri yesterday to an injury, so you don't want to see anybody else get hurt. And, banging knees, that'll hurt a little bit, but usually you can come back from that.
All right, that'll do it for our first half, and Cameron Smith right back to the bench. Looks like he's going to be just fine. We'll have some reaction and highlights here to come, and don't go away. It's only a 4-minute halftime. Back in just a little bit more with some more from the Duncanville Fieldhouse in the NTX International Combine. Welcome back to Duncanville. It's the NTX International Combine. Halftime between the Spurs and Rockets in our first game of our doubleheader. Let's go to Kendra Sheehan with some halftime reaction.
Here with head coach Mike James, who was promoted overnight, was assistant yesterday, now head coach, and your team has a 2-point lead at the half. Your team was lighting it up from three. What did you like about that perimeter shooting early on?
Oh, we got a lot of good looks in transition, so we just want to give the guys an opportunity to get early looks. If the defense is going to get back, we want to take the first open shot. We got some shooters out there who are making them and taking advantage of those open looks.
You talked about it in the halftime huddle about those first 2 minutes and really trapping the ball. What are you looking for out of this team initially, those first couple minutes, to keep this momentum rolling?
Yeah, we just want to stay aggressive. So the first 2 minutes, I told them we want to trap all the side ball screens, force them to throw a pass all the way across the court, which they haven't done all day. But I just think we can get a couple steals, and if we get a couple layups early, obviously that increases their momentum. They start feeling better, and then I think that momentum can carry us throughout the rest of the half.
Having a full game under their belt together, how much improvement have you noticed in the chemistry among this group playing in this first half?
Oh, it's a lot better. They know what each other can, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and also I think they're a little bit more settled in. Obviously, everybody's a little nervous that first day, but now with it being the second day, their nerves are more settled in. They know who can shoot, who likes to pass, who can penetrate. So now they're playing off each other's strengths a little bit better, and I think that's why they're playing a little bit more fluidly today than they did yesterday.
Davian Williamson has 15 points in this first half. What do you like about the way that he's lighting it up?
Well, he's shooting the ball well, and so I just want to keep giving him opportunities to get the ball. If they're not going to pick him up on those switches, then I want him to keep coming off the ball screen and shooting. And we have multiple point guards who can bring it up and down the court. So when he's off the ball, they're not matching up with him well, and he's taking advantage of it. So we're going to let him keep doing it.
All right, good luck in the second half. Thank you, Coach. Evan, back to you.
Thank you very much, Kendra. And got about 30 seconds here. Dave, impressions on that first half?
I mean, really, you got to like what you heard from Coach. Davian Williamson really taking advantage of the matchups and shooting the basketball. And I think it's going to be, can Sean Resper's team make the defensive adjustments here in the second half to try and slow down? I mean, the shooting percentage wasn't off the charts, 6 of 17, but the problem was, of those 17 attempts that the Rockets got, I didn't feel like there were a lot of contested shots. They were wide open looks, and you've got to figure out a way to be able to get up on those players and give them a little bit more of a defensive look. And it's not so much about, hey, are they making the threes and we're going to win or lose the game, but it's about, can you show that you can make those adjustments defensively at this level, and that's something that the scouts are going to be looking for.
A chance to impress for both NBA and international scouts in attendance this weekend. They'll be watching closely.
I also liked what I saw of Kevin Samuel in that first half. I mean, it really was, the numbers I don't think necessarily tell the story. He gave one block and one steal, but I felt like he really kind of impacted things early. And once you get a big man like that who can challenge some shots and make a statement, it's going to impact other players thinking about whether or not they want to go inside and challenge him.
Early three for Craig Porter Jr., no good. There's Sage Tolbert. He had 9 and 7 and 2 steals in that first half. He's on track for a double-double momentarily here. Tolbert attacking Jones, gets inside on him and draws a foul.
Nice patience there, and he showed that in the first half as well. In an offensive possession when he got into the paint, the shot call, or the 3-second call was about to be whistled. He finally drew a foul, but he's acting quick, but he's not in a hurry. So that's very important, and to see him be able to be composed and get his shots, that's something that's important.
Only blemish on his game today has been the free throws. He's now 1 for 6 at the free throw line.
You're getting to the line. What can you do when you get to the line?
It's funny, that is maybe more than anything else an indicator of NBA success. So if you look at just the top 25 guys in free throw attempts, it's pretty much a list of the top 25 players in the NBA, give or take. I mean, it is amazing how much that will indicate how good you are.
Cameron Smith.
There's Dennis again flying in front of the jam, and Smith sets it up.
I think Smith got away there though. He completely hooked. He put his arm around his defender and just pushed him out of the way.
They were letting him play all day yesterday. That has continued into today.
But back to your point about the free throws, it's not only so much about even getting to the line. I mean, obviously that's important. You can impact your team's chance to win or lose by getting free points. And another opportunity for free throws coming up here. But the other thing is, too, and it's not going to come into play here in the Combine because you're basically unlimited on the fouls you can commit here, aside from the 10 team fouls and a half before you go into the penalty. But in real NBA games, it's a big deal to draw some fouls, get some guys in foul trouble, and get some of those important players off the court. And that's a skill set, as you mentioned, that the guys who generally draw the fouls are the top guys in the league.
You saw that plenty with Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota.
I saw it on both sides with Karl Anthony Towns
Yes.
in Minnesota.
If you could get him into foul trouble, you were going to have a good night.
Absolutely, and it happened very often. And he also was pretty adept at getting players in foul trouble as well. He's also a heck of a free throw shooter, so
Yes.
that's the trifecta right there.
One of the great offensive bigs of his generation. There's Jones hitting 2 out of 2 at the line. Latrell Jones had a big game yesterday with 16 points to lead his team. He's got 4 this afternoon, and the Spurs, after trailing most of that first half, are back into the lead. Jones picks up the loose ball. He'll pull up from 3. No good, and Samuel with the rebound.
It was
Out to
Porter who
Tolbert.
knocked that ball free initially.
Tolbert around everybody. Boy, he looks great. Sage Tolbert III. He's been all over the place on both ends for the
just
Rockets.
needs to finish. Needs to finish because he's not getting them at the line today.
He's got 12 points and 8 rebounds despite just 2 of 7 at the free throw line. Here's Jones. Hands to Smith. Dennis, corner 3. Dexter Dennis with 15.
Yeah, and the Spurs get the 3, but you saw Kevin Samuel impact that play. Jones got in there and was like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to challenge him.
Williamson, 15 in the first half. Jones stands him up. Davis falling away, knocks it down.
Marquise Davis looking for his own shot after a quiet day yesterday.
Athletic 3 for Marquise Davis. Smith in and out from the baseline. Dennis the board. Boy, he's been sensational in this game. Cummings misses the 2. Porter the tip. They'll get a 4th chance. Dennis up and under. That's no good. 5th try, and he finally draws a foul as Samuel ate him up. 4 offensive rebounds on the play, and it leads to free throws.
Samuel with a little chuckle in spite of the foul. I can't believe how many offensive rebounds that the Spurs were able to come up with there. Samuel, if anything, that might have been a little bit of frustration as well, the way that he fouled him with the block, and now you've got some moisture on the court.
Get that cleared up, and Dexter Dennis will shoot free throws for the first time today. Had the best play, I think, of the combine so far with that dunk in the first half.
That was the strangest thing I think I've ever seen, though, Evan. It looked like they were all looking down on the court, like, is there moisture? And they were checking it with the sneakers, and nobody ever brought out a towel.
Maybe the bottom of the shoe cleared it up. Who knows? Dennis 2 out of 2. Ties him with Everett Hammond for the game high, 17 points.
Nice anticipation by Rand. He was ready for that roll to the rim by Samuel.
Cummings trying to feed Porter on the break, and he couldn't hang on to it.
And that's the thing with Samuel. I mean, you've got him there. Maybe he needs to go just a hair quicker so Rand doesn't have a chance to connect there, because the entry pass had to wait for him to get in a better position, and then Rand was able to come over there and break up the play.
Jones from the corner. It's a little short. Porter tips it to himself, and it's knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with the Spurs. 1-point game here. Rockets had a 12-point lead in the first half. Spurs have come back to go back in front.
And we haven't been tracking lead changes, but they've changed hands a few times here. It's been a very competitive game.
Porter Jr. Out to Cummings. 7 on the shot clock. Dumps it to Rand. Rand over Davis.
That was fun, and it was a great job offensively by Rand. As said, the switch was coming, and the Rockets kind of got crossed up, and Rand took advantage.
Sills answers with a 3. Ties it up at 56. Desi Sills was huge in the second half as they nearly came back and beat the Sixers after going down by 14 in the second half. Another rebound for Samuel. Here's Williamson. Lobs to Tolbert with the flush. 14 for Tolbert. And the Rockets back in the lead.
We've had a lot of dunks in this game, more than I think we had yesterday. Guys just attacking the rim.
Mike James preparing to change out a couple of guys.
Porter's got the big on him right now with Samuel. What's he going to do?
Drives right at him, kicks it for the open 3. Cummings misses short.
And that was nice help defense there by Williamson, who came over.
Davis denied the flush by Porter Jr. I don't know if he actually touched the ball, but certainly threw Davis off. It's going the other way.
Yeah, well, the officials say he didn't touch it. Davis is also lucky. He looked like he could have gotten called for an offensive foul. Looked like he put his left hand might have caught Porter in the face.
Changes for both teams. Kong, Gibson, and Scott all in for the Rockets. Hammond and Smith returning for the Spurs as Porter Jr. and Dennis, the former Shockers, get a break. Smith over the top, drains it. Smith has 8, following up a 15-point game yesterday. Gibson underneath to Samuel. He does the power dribble, but the hook shot goes.
Well, we talked about the power dribble getting him in trouble on the other end in the first half, but that time I think everybody was anticipating him going straight up with it, so he kind of fooled them and got away with it.
I will never shake my head at a sky hook. Stolen away by Scott. Gibson and Scott finally get out of there. Rand and Hammond on the deck. Scott takes the 3. Kong finishes with the jam.
I don't know that I love the pull-up 3 there, though, because you had 2 defenders that were on the floor on the other end. You had a 5-on-3. It had worked out okay because Kong was there for the putback dunk. But you know on a 3, you can get a long rebound. It could go anywhere, so that was fortunate.
Dennis checking back in here for Ahmad Rand. Kong with a big putback dunk. For more on him, let's go out to Kendra.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Kong after yesterday's match. I asked him about his unique name, and he said, he goes like this. He said, nice name, so nice, you got to say it twice. And then he laughed. He said it's really a family name. His grandfather's name is Kong as well. And then we got to talking about the why he plays basketball. And he said that his family actually immigrated here from South Sudan. So he was born in 2000, but his family came over in 1998. He has relatives that still live in South Sudan. So he drives so hard each and every day in practice to support his family. And the other thing that I noticed about Kong is his energy throughout these exhibition games. He is one guy who is constantly uplifting other guys on his team. He's yelling at his team to get back on defense. He is the energy and he is the fight of this blue team, especially when you look at what he does on the sidelines. Evan?
Thanks, Kendra. And basketball has helped out so many who have come from other countries, and I love the way Kong talks about his name. Name's so nice, you say it twice.
Got to go with it, man. He's owned it, and it's worked out.
Got a hand up there to contest the 3. Dennis on the second try.
Kong maybe yesterday fell a little bit too in love with the three-pointer. It was falling, which you understand, but he certainly took a lot of them yesterday.
Marquise Davis with the offensive rebound and put back there. Davis has 8. He's flashed a little bit more today. But Dennis, the star of the show right now for the Spurs, 19 points. He passes it out. Davis with the steal. Davis around Smith. Davis by himself. Kong is fouled on the putback.
Great individual effort there by Davis all the way until the very end. And the windmill attempt at the basket, I don't know that he needed to go quite to that level. But here's another look at it. But I loved what I saw on the defensive end. He had great anticipation to come up with that steal.
Kong shooting a pair. He showed a deft touch shooting the basketball yesterday. And the first free throw goes down smoothly.
Did he start 4 of 4 yesterday? He finished 4 of 9.
I think you're right. I think he made his first 4, and then the second half, he just that touch abandoned him a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He fell a little bit too in love with it. He saw 4 in a row go in, and he's like, I can't miss. And then he didn't make another one the rest of the day.
He gets both free throws. Got 4 points in this game. Gets the Rockets back up by 6. A little bit of separation here on the scoreboard. Jones well short, and then Scott, I think, was bumped by Jones, and they'll call a foul on the loose ball.
Jones had a height advantage there. Was trying to go to work, but couldn't get the finish.
Desi Sills bringing it up. Sills slashing into the lane, lays it off for Gibson, but he couldn't get up and around Cameron Smith. Davis, pull up three, hand in his face, it doesn't go. Kong grabs the rebound. Dennis tried to tip it to a teammate.
Smart decision by Kong to kick it out.
Gibson drills his first three of the combine.
And credit Kong because he's not going to get anything on the stat sheet there other than the rebound, but he could have tried to force it right back up. Instead, made the smart play and got it out to the shooter.
Gibson with 11 after that three-pointer, and there's Kong with a block.
Yeah, I talked about that wingspan that he's got.
This time, Davis gets the finish. And a timeout for Sean Respert as this lead is suddenly ballooned out to 11 points, a 9-0 run for the Rockets.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot of rocket fuel here in this second half, as a little bit of everybody's had a hand in this one. Really like what we've seen out of Sage Tolbert, who has been aggressive, and gotten himself to the line, has gotten himself some free throws. He hasn't been able to make enough of them. This league could be even bigger if he could have. Kong now has played well. Kevin Samuel's been fairly consistent throughout this game. So you've seen a lot of players doing a lot of good things here for Mike James's squad.
Nice bounce back, too, for Gibson. After a tough day yesterday, he's got 11 points. Just saw his first three go down. That's got to feel good after an 0 for 8 in yesterday's game.
Especially being somewhat of a local kid from Waco, just about an hour and a half away from here. And you know that he wants to enjoy some of that home cooking and be able to say that he had a good tournament here. As all these guys really have, and we talked about it yesterday, the goal for them to come out of this, the ultimate goal for them is, can they get an invite to Chicago? Because May 13th and 14th is the G League Elite Camp, and that's going to be a feeder system for the G League Draft. And then you've got the NBA Combine, which, of course, is going to be the feeder for the NBA Draft the next week after that, the 15th through the 21st in Chicago. So, you know, these guys are coming to this Combine not with invites to those camps already in hand, hoping that they can get an invite to those camps a couple of weeks from now in Chicago, really, to 8 days from now in Chicago.
If you were with us at the start, Pete Michael talking a little bit about the goals of this tournament, too. This is the third year of the NTX International Combine. Pete starting this tournament to help get these guys visibility, teach them how to be professionals, and hopefully get them noticed at the higher levels. Got a lot of guys out of the first 2 years of this tournament who wound up in the G League or overseas. There will certainly be a fair share of them from this year's.
Pete Michael has a huge affinity for overseas basketball, won 12 Eurobasket titles during his days playing overseas.
Brand drops the feed from Hammond. Oh, slick behind the back, and Davis with the jam.
Well, we had the good and the bad, right? You had a misfired pass from Hammond. He really didn't give Rand much of a chance to be able to do anything with it. And Davis saw an opportunity and just absolutely exploits it.
How about the behind-the-back dish from Sills as well?
That was very impressive.
Jones is wide open for three. Almost missed the rim.
Almost too open on that one.
You hate having time to think about it. Gibson right into his shot. That's more like it for Umoja Gibson. He's got 14, and suddenly this is a 16-point game.
And like you said, Gibson saw that first one go down, and then all of a sudden the lid is off.
Porter couldn't get around Kong, but he gets the second one.
I thought there should have been offensive basket interference there. Kong hit the rim while that ball was up there. But nonetheless, they come away with the points.
Sills airballs a three. We're going to get a few changes. Williamson back into the game. Tolbert and Samuel as well. These were the three guys that really flashed today for the Rockets in the first half. Look at that jam from Davis.
That was so fun. And the pass to set it up. The athleticism of these guys is not in question. That's for certain.
Yeah, you look at the testing data. Most of them are jumping 36, 37 inches. Some guys in the 40s.
I think there were 4 guys, maybe 5, that were over 40.
Dexter Dennis was the leader at 41 1/4. Jones a three. That one is good. And now Spurs starting to get their legs back under them. 5 quick points.
Yeah, a little 5-0 run after down 16, Evan.
Williamson had 15 in the first half. Now Tolbert steps back for three. That's no good. Tipped out. Tolbert back at it. He'll get another chance at the free throw line. He's just 2 for 7 today. But to get 9 free throws in itself, like we were talking about, certainly shows you something.
And just a little reach in there by Smith as Tolbert started his move. Got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
Another missed free throw for Sage Tolbert III.
Yeah, this is not an impression he wants to be making from the line. And granted, listen, NBA scouts or pro scouts internationally, they're not going to make their decision on whether or not to take a guy based upon whether or not he can make free throws. That's something that they're going to feel like they can work on and will get better. But it's nice to not have a check mark in the negative column on the scout sheet in that regard.
He wasn't a total butcher at San Jose State, 67%, like you mentioned, but something for him to work on for sure. That's a nice fadeaway jump shot by Cameron Smith. He's got 10.
Cam Smith just doing so many things. He's just such a steady player.
Williamson, deep three is short. Tolbert, another rebound. He's got a double-double. Kong working on Jones. Spins off of him. Lost the handle. It's picked up. No, Rand couldn't come away with it. Now Williamson on the break throws it over the head of Tolbert. Now it's Rand to Jones. Little tip. Smith cleans it up.
Yeah, Rand trying to be unselfish. You know, you got a smaller defender. I might have liked to see the big fella just, I know you got teammates with you, but maybe that's the opportunity where you need to be a little bit selfish.
He can annihilate somebody on a dunk, too.
He absolutely could have.
But the lead is cut down to 8. It's a 9-1 run and another sloppy pass by the Rockets.
Yeah, they've gotten a little bit disjointed here and given the basketball up. And you have to give a little bit of credit here to the Spurs as they're kind of, getting their bodies into some people, not letting them just have free pass to the spots they're trying to get to.
And this group here, they're functionally playing without a big with Samuel on the floor, with Rand going to the bench. Smith, another jump shot. That one falls off the cup. Rebound Tolbert. Sills. Williamson driving up and under and in. His first 2 of the second half.
He was explosive in that first half. Very quiet so far here in half number 2. See if he can find something.
Cameron Smith off the take, blocked from behind. Samuel with a vicious swat, and it's off of Smith, going the other way.
And you know what? Whether or not, I don't know if I love that decision by Samuel, because he ended up swiping down still, and that's going to, more times than not, that's going to lead you to some kind of trouble. But I like the decisiveness and the aggressiveness to come over and challenge the play, and that's what you want. That's what you want to see. You want to see the instincts. Are they going to be able to make that decision and go over and challenge? You could coach the other things, right? You could coach out how you want them to make that challenge, but to have the instincts to go ahead and make that challenge, that's what they're looking for.
It was a great angle on the replay, too. That was perfectly clean. He put his hand in the perfect spot.
This has been fun. This has been a fun game here this afternoon. All these games have really been great here in Duncanville.
10-point lead for the Rockets. For more on them, let's go over to Kendra.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, this is an event where guys are trying to get noticed, and so the head coaches are not shy about giving feedback. They're not afraid to lay in to these guys. Head coach Mike James had other obligations, so now Marcus Williams has got the promotion from associate coach to head coach and is leading these Rockets. But they say it's all love. The players know it's all love. They're harsh on their feedback, but it's only because they want them to play at the next level. You talk to some of the guys, too, who are receiving the feedback, and they appreciate it. You know, it's some of the feedback that they haven't necessarily gotten before. They respect these coaches. They've been in the league. They've coached in the league where they want to play, and so it's great opportunity for them to get all this feedback, take it in, and then advance their game to the next level. Evan?
Thanks, Kendra. And I mean, yeah, it's at this level, when you're trying to make money playing basketball, there's no room for, coddling or anything like that. You've got to be. If I'm in that situation, I would want someone to be direct with me. Samuel, beautifully done.
Advantage there, Evan. But yeah, and the thing is that with all these players, right? And it's not just limited to basketball. My experience being around pro sports in general, athletes want to be coached. And they want a coach that's going to get in their face and tell them, hey, you're not doing this, or you need to do this. But also, you need the pat on the back every now and again, too. When you're doing something great, you want that feedback as well. But athletes want to be coached.
Anyone who's gotten to this level has that burning desire in them, you would think, to be great.
Once you think that you've got it all figured out, you're going to be out of the game in a hurry.
Yeah, you're done. Absolutely. Rockets by 12 after the bucket from Samuel. They have tightened it up a little bit here after seeing their lead cut in half. Williamson challenging Cummings. Gets to his spot. Little strong with a baseline jumper.
And nobody there from the Rockets was crashing the glass.
Smith, loosey-goosey, and Samuel picks it up.
Yeah, he kind of thought about what his move was going to be before he secured the basketball. A rare mental error there by Smith, who's been steady throughout.
Gibson spinning off Hammond, floats it up, tapped in over the cylinder. No basket.
Well, Kevin Samuel, he's got a 9'9" standing reach. So
if he jumps at all, he's over the rim.
He's only got to jump 3 inches to touch the rim. Now, his vertical is only 25 and change, which is the lowest measured amongst everybody in the combine. But, when you only need 3 inches to get to the rim, you got a little bit of breathing room to work with.
He's a big guy out of Barbuda. Here's Dennis wide open for 3. Dennis has a 22-point game.
Most of the damage was in that first half when he felt like there was nothing he couldn't do.
They swatted Gibson, and it's a turnover.
Yeah, Dennis reaches in, gets a hand on the ball, and I'm the way I'm seeing Dexter Dennis, he might be percolating. We might see a couple of more good plays from him in this stretch.
He's one of the highest pedigreed guys at this combine. Wichita State, AAC Defensive Player of the Year. That's the conference that produced the #1 team in the country this year. There's another 3. He's up to 25 points. Played great defense in the SEC last year. I mean, he's a guy that he's going to make his money on the other end, but 25 points here is nothing to sneeze at.
He's got that look in his eyes right now that he's going to want the basketball in his hands every time.
His back-to-back threes have knocked this lead down to 6.
Hammond called for the help. Smith finally came and gave it to him.
There's Dennis skying for the board. It's going the other way. Dennis, you talk about vertical leap. He has the highest of any prospect here in the combine.
41.25 is not too shabby.
He measured in at 6'6", 207 with a 6'11" wingspan, so he's going to be a wing at the next level, but with that leap, he can really be an exciting player.
And he's also got large hands, 10.25 inches on both the right and left hands.
Gibson, another 3 to quiet the run. In fact, it's a long 2, but even still, Gibson will be thrilled to see that outside shot going down. 16 points.
I believe that's 3 in a row makes for him from long range. Not all from 3, but from well outside.
Rand, nice little move, and he throws it down.
Great patience by Rand. Did exactly what he needed to do. He knew that if he could get the one defender by him, he would have a cheapie.
Another competitive game down the stretch. Smith nearly steals it. Sills goes to the floor. Gibson for 3. In and out. Tolbert the offensive rebound. Shovels it to Williamson, who couldn't hang on.
And there's Johnny on the spot, Dexter Dennis.
Dennis gets by Williamson. Around Davis, has his shot blocked, but cleans it up to Rand. It's a 4-point game with 3.5 to go.
Great vision by Dennis to know that Rand was right there, but nobody got back, and a good leak out by Gibson.
Gibson's got 18. Dennis wide open. He can't miss right now. 28 for Dexter Dennis, 18 since halftime.
Well, I don't know if the Spurs are going to win, and there's still 3 minutes to go, but as of now, Dexter Dennis is my player of the game.
28 points. I would think you wouldn't get a whole lot of an argument on that,
and
Dave.
the highlight of the combine so far.
That crazy dunk in the first half. Hope that makes its way to social media. Sills airs balls at threes, and all of a sudden, after going down 16, the Spurs have the ball with a chance to tie. Hammond knifes his way inside. Rand again with the putback. 1 point game.
How fun is this? You know what? The Spurs would like to leave here undefeated. The Rockets would like to leave here with a win.
Gibson misses a three, and the Spurs now with a definitive chance to take the lead and wipe out a 16-point deficit. And they do, and a foul for Nelly Cummings.
Hard fall there by Cummings, but he absorbs the contact and able to finish through it. And a nice little pass there on the bounce by Hammonds to put it right in a spot where Cummings could take advantage.
Since Sean Respert called timeout, down 16, this is a 26-9 Spurs run to take the lead.
Well, you know, Sean's also trying to impress some people. You know, Sean wants to get back on an NBA bench.
Sean assisted at Memphis, was worked in development with the Timberwolves, with the Bulls.
Sean, just a great guy. I had a chance to know him while he was with the Timberwolves on Rick Adelman's staff. Had a real interesting conversation with Sean at breakfast yesterday, and he shared a personal anecdote with me about his family, some family stuff that he was going through during the pandemic, and how it coincided with him leaving his job in Chicago, but him being able to be there with his family during the pandemic and help them out at a time when they needed it was just so monumental in his life and his family's life. And he's just so grateful now to have that in a good place and be back again pursuing what he loves. Looks like Cameron Smith might have taken a shot to the eye there for a moment.
Bang knees at the end of the first half. He's going to continue on here. This team's got a 1 point lead. Jones out of the corner. That's good. The Spurs are pouring it on. They're now up multiple possessions. Under 2 to play. Kong gets the screen. Williamson tightly guarded by Porter Jr.
Who's going to respond here for the Rockets?
They have come up empty. Williamson ducks around the closeout, puts it up, no good. Dennis fighting for it, but it's Sills. He finishes. When they had their big comeback yesterday, it was Desi Sills who led the way.
He took the words right out of my mouth. We'll see whether or not he can do it again. And, you know, the Rockets, there was a whole lot of people looking around, looking to see who was going to take over on that possession.
Cameron Smith, they take the shot clock down. Smith long 2, in and out, rebound Davis. Now a chance to tie or go ahead.
Didn't love that shot. I know the shot clock was low, but you still had 7 seconds to work with. You could have tried to find something better, but they don't pay the price for it.
Kong got an open look, but couldn't put it down. 2 point lead for the Spurs, and they're going to call timeout with 53 seconds left, leading by 2. Boy, what a fun game this has been.
This has been, and so unexpected to see this just one-sided, just onslaught coming from the Spurs.
They go down 16, and they've been pretty dominant ever since.
And, you know, a lot of it, listen, they started the run before Dexter Dennis came back on the floor, but once Dennis came back in, it was like putting lighter fluid on a smoldering fire because it just exploded. And Dennis has shown off the entire arsenal today. The guy who's been steady throughout is Cameron Smith, though. I mean, you know, he's not going to get player of the game today, but Cameron Smith is going to leave this combine feeling pretty good about the way he acquitted himself.
And look, he's got an NBA body. He's got a great head on his shoulders. I like his chances putting together a good career.
Yeah, I think Cameron Smith, a guy that, you know, he's got a chance at maybe being a Las Vegas Summer League guy, getting a chance to be a training camp guy. That's, you know, that's kind of the process, right? You come to a combine here, course, you hope you're going to get drafted, but only 60 players are going to get drafted. And we're just looking at guys that have played domestically. We're not looking at the international players, and the NBA certainly is.
Yeah, there's going to be a good 10-ish, 15-ish guys from overseas.
I mean, at the least.
Look at the number 1 pick in the draft this year.
Absolutely. So, you figure these guys are fighting for maybe 40 draft slots, and there's just not enough seats in that game of musical chairs to go around. But you are hoping you can make an impression and maybe get yourself to the Las Vegas Summer League, and then you got a chance to maybe make an impression of being able to get into a training camp, and then who knows?
Rand again, Porter Jr. creating the space, and Rand says thank you very much. He's been big in this run down the stretch here. Williamson, big three in and out. Tolbert gets the miss. They need points here. Williamson on the drive. Stripped away by Cameron Smith. And then Kong steals the outlet pass.
Still breathing.
They need a quick bucket. Sills can't get around Dennis. It's Williamson. He'll drive the lane. Puts it up. No good. Smith the rebound. And the Spurs are going to be able to run it out. What a comeback. What a finish. They close on a 31-11 run.
And Cameron Smith, I don't know if they're going to count it. They're not counting
it. I think
it.
that was after the buzzer, but what a performance by the Spurs. Dexter Dennis with 28. Ahmad Rand, 12 big points. And the Spurs come from behind to take it. They leave here at 2-0, a 91-87 win. What a fun basketball game. So many great performances to talk about.
Yeah, we talked about the athleticism, right, of all of these guys. And, I mean, Dexter Dennis yesterday, 22 minutes, 7 points. Really didn't do very much. He only took 7 shots, 1 or 2 from three-point range. And today, completely a different story. He showed off all the athleticism. He showed off a lot of the confidence. And, he was just so fun to watch. And there's going to be a lot of scouts are going to be excited about what they saw with him today.
Yeah, when you came in and looked at the names on paper, he was one of the guys that stood out as a real big-time prospect that was coming to this combine. Had himself a terrific performance here with 28 points. Dexter Dennis is standing by with Kendra Sheehan.
All right, Dexter Dennis, what a game you were able to unleash, 28 points. What did you see on the floor that allowed you to put away so many baskets?
Mainly just playing basketball. I think the last 48 hours, I've been learning a lot from these coaches. They've been taking their time and giving us a lot of gems, a lot of things we got to pick up on at the next level. So I just been paying attention, trying to be a student of the game. Yesterday, I really didn't have a good day. And this morning, my coach just gave me some advice and just helped me just kind of push through and kind of have short-term memory. So that's pretty much what it was.
There's certainly a play there that a lot of people won't forget, that big dunk. You were so far out. What did you see on that play to have such a highlight-worthy dunk?
Realistically, it's just me and Craig Porter. I played with him at Wichita State for a couple years, so I think it was just that little chemistry we had. Just go up for a little connection. We've done that plenty of times at practice. So I gave him a little look. He gave me a little look back. And when he do his little hands like this, I just took off. So that was pretty much it.
You guys were down 16 points at one point. What was key to beginning this comeback in order to come back and win at the end?
Mainly just one possession at a time. I think just not really looking at the scoreboard, just getting one stop at a time, one stop. And when they miss or not capitalize on the possession, we come back and we do the opposite. We just capitalize and really didn't rebound it well, but still we hit some shots and we made up for it. So I thought it was on the defensive end first. That's what started the comeback.
This is an opportunity to get exposure to scouts, NBA scouts, international scouts. What is the message that you want to send to those guys that you're ready to play at this next level?
I'm not a quitter. My game isn't really pretty. What I do is simple, but I'll do whatever they need me to do initially. I'm not a guy, I don't have to have the ball. I'm just a team player, but I do want to win every time I step on the court, and that's what I'm really about. It's not about the points, not about the highlights, it's just about results, and that's what I'm all about.
Thanks so much, Dexter. Evan, back to you.
Yeah, Dexter Dennis got the points, the highlights, and the results today. 28 points in a 16-point comeback as his team took it 91-87, and the former Texas A&M Aggie starting out on what should be a fruitful professional career wherever he ends up plying his trade. But a lot of great performances up and down the list, Dave. Some final thoughts on this game one before we quickly turn things around and go into game 2.
I like the adjustments that the Spurs made, and the Rockets, they were just getting whatever they wanted offensively, especially from 3-point range, and the Spurs kind of tightened things up to kind of help fuel that run. And once they got the momentum going, it became a runaway train, and it wasn't just Dexter Dennis that was involved. Cameron Smith was Mr. Steady throughout the entire combine. We saw some nice moments out of Ahmad Rand as well. Craig Porter Jr. didn't really impact the stat sheet as much as I think people would like. A lot of people had him listed as the #1 overall prospect coming here, and of course he was one of 3 players in this tournament that also got invited to Portsmouth a couple of weeks ago. But I thought he played well enough to be able to say, hey, you know what, I'm worth a look at the next level.
All right, terrific game 1. We'll strap in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 between the Grizzlies and the Sixers is coming up in just a few moments.